Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to Blu-Roy Movies. It's Sunday morning, the clocks have gone back. You've all had an extra hour in bed, so we're all up for some films because we're all extra refreshed. Well, something like that, anyway. So, this week, guess how many films I watched? And yep, if you pay attention, you're probably all saying seven because it seems to be seven every week at the moment, certainly in a groove, as they say. And as that guy on the TV says, seven. Although I've never watched that, I just know he says it. So let's get down on with it and see what I've watched this week. And I kicked it off with last Sunday in a film I enjoy, Never Let Me Go. Now this is a kind of a sci-fi film, but it's more of a look at relationships and stuff like this. It stars Carey Mulligan, Andrew Garfield, Keira Knightley. It's also got Charlotte Rampling, Donald Gleeson, who is Brendan's son, I believe. Angela Riseborough, who's an actress I quite like. And this is about a set in the 70s. It starts off with people and living to over 100, and what they've done is they've never really explained how they've done it, but I presume it's some sort of cloning, human cloning they're doing, and they're cloning humans so that when they reach adulthood, they use their organs for donors and stuff like that, and that is now prolonging everybody's life. And these clone kids, they all go to special schools, and it shows their school life. And when they leave school, they all move into sort of like farms together and communes together and keep them together. And they've got like a tracker on their wrist, and when they go in and out, they have to track in and out so that people, so I presume that they're known where they are all the time and they can't do a flip, because this is the course that they've been brought into the world for, just to harvest their organs when they reach a certain age so that non-cloned people can live longer. And yeah, really interesting film. It's more about like the three main characters who are these clones, and Carey Mulligan has always like had a fancy for Andrew Garfield's character through adulthood, through adolescence and into adulthood, but he was going out with Keira Knightley's character, and then they split up and they finally get together. And yeah, it's a look at relationships and more that than anybody else, and which I really liked. I like the way they went with it. They could have gone down the route of like them rebelling and trying to escape the system and not having to harvest their organs when they get older, but I'm quite glad they didn't, because I enjoy the direction it goes. And then when they do have to start harvesting organs, like Andrew Garfield's before Carey Mulligan's, how she reacted to that. Yeah, really interesting stuff. Quite thought provoking. Very bleak. Very, very bleak. It's definitely not one that's going to uplift you. But by nowhere near the most bleakest film I've watched this week, as you'll carry on as we go on. Yeah, good film. If you haven't seen that, give it a go. Never Let Me Go. I like that one. Next up, and totally the different end of the scale, my mate Big Jace and the transporter that James sent me over last week. And I have seen it before, but I couldn't remember much about it, but I really, really liked it. Big Jace, he plays this guy that'll move any package about for you. No questions asked, but he works to his own terms. You've got to satisfy his criteria before he takes a job. And when he takes one particular package, it starts moving about, and it's got this girl inside a big duffel bag played by Shuki. And he opens the bag up and sees her and breaks one of his own rules, which is never look in the package. And things go south from there and ends up in a tale of human trafficking. And it's a really, really good action film that I really enjoyed. Totally bonkers, as most of these are. There's very physics defying there's one scene where he drives his car off a bridge and lands it on the back of a car transporter and then lowers down it and drives off it again, not a scratch, a bit of damage to the car. Yeah, really, really bonkers. But a film, like I say, I really enjoy, and I'm looking forward now to watching the rest of the series, because I think this is the only one I've seen. I don't think I've seen Transporter 2 or 3. I may be wrong. I've been wrong once before, but we'll see. Next up was a film. I was in a charity shop, saw this film for 50p, Accident, and just read about it on the front. I knew I had to pick it up and give it a watch. It's directed by Joseph Losey, and the screenplay's done by playwright Harold Pinter, who they also teamed up for on The Go-Between, which is a film I like very much. And they teamed up together also with Dirk Bogarde, who's in this film, on The Servant, which is a film I really, really enjoyed when I watched it a few months ago. So when I saw all three of them again were involved in Accident, I just had to pick it up and give it a watch. And another film I really liked. It stars with Stanley Baker as well. This girl here, Jacqueline Sassard, who I'd never heard of before, I'd never seen her in anything else, and Michael York. It starts off in Dirk Bogarde's house. He's a Oxford University lecturer, and he hears a car crash outside his house. And when he goes to investigate, Michael York has been driving the car. He's dead inside, and this girl here, this Jacqueline Sassard, she was also in the car, but she's still alive, and she's been driving, and they've both been drinking all night by the looks of it, because she's absolutely sozzled. There's booze all over the car. So he pulls her out of the car, calls the police, and then hides her upstairs and pretends to the police that he was in the car himself, because I don't think she even had a licence, and she was like pie-eyed. And then you get to the story of how we got to this point, and how this girl was sort of in the centre of all the affections of Michael York and Dirk Bogarde and Stanley Baker as well. And yeah, really good tale of this girl like winding these guys round her finger, and these guys cheating on their wives, who, I think it was a like 60s film. I can see the date on it. No, I can't quite see the date, but I think it's about 1960, something like that. And how these husbands in them days just treated their wives like somebody to cook and to reproduce and keep the house nice, basically. It's totally different times. Yeah, really good story of how it got to the point of this accident, and a film, again, I recommend, one that I really enjoy. And another bleak film. It's been quite a week of bleak films for me. And as you see, as I get on, probably nowhere near the bleakest film of the week. Yeah, but recommend that. Some good stuff. Next up from myself, Layer Cake. And a film I hadn't seen for years, and I really, really liked it. Daniel Craig, Cole Meany, Sienna Miller, Michael Gambon, host of British actors that you always see in these crime type films. That Tessa something, the big Turkish guy, he's always in these films. Yeah, really good. And the film that got Daniel Craig his gig as Bond. And you can see why, because he's also absolutely smooth and brilliant in this. He stars a drug dealer, again a drug dealer who has rules and that, so things don't go wrong. But when he gets involved with this bunch of scallies, this Cockney gang of drug dealers, and they try and sell some drugs that have been stolen from Amsterdam mafia type people, things go south. And yeah, really good film that I really like. A twisty tale that you have to really concentrate on, because there's a lot going on, but just concentrate it and you will be rewarded. directed by Matthew Vaughn, but it does remind me of a Guy Ritchie film. It's that type of style. So if you like Snatch and Lock, Stock and that sort of tale, I'm sure you'll enjoy it, because I really like this. Absolutely wonderful stuff. Great crime film. If you're into your British crime films and you haven't seen this, because I don't hear a lot of people talking about it, give it a go, because wonderful film. Next up, we've got Dirt Bogard, Stanley Baker again, and another film I saw in a charity shop, Campbell's Kingdom. I think this network release, I think it's got a Blu-ray. This is again a good film. Dirt Bogard, he plays this English guy whose grandfather lives in Canada, and he has been looking for oil on his land, and all the authorities tell him there is no oil, and he's wasted his time, and his grandfather dies, and he goes over and inherits the land. And Bogard himself has been recently diagnosed with an illness and he's not got long to live. So his plan is to go over there and prove his grandfather was right, that there was oil on this land before he dies. When he gets over there, he's confronted by Stanley Baker's character, who plays a good baddie in this. He's like boss of this mining company, and they want to flood the land for their own purposes, and they've nefariously faked the reports that this land has got no oil in it. But Bogard is then determined that he'll prove him wrong and start drilling, and like all the hassle they have of trying to get up this mountain to start drilling. Yeah, really good film. Quite enjoyed it. Not fantastic. It's just entertaining. It keeps you entertained enough. Yeah, really one that I liked. And this guy here, I'm not sure what his name, but I think he was in like all them Doctor films. Kind of a western, sort of a British western. It's supposed to be set in Canada, but I think it was all filmed in Europe, Italian mountains, like nowhere near the Rockies. But yeah, it's all right. If you see it, give it a go. It's entertaining enough. And next up, and the Baker's film of the week by far, Leviathan. I think this is one that Larry sent me over, so thanks very much for that, Larry. This is directed by, and let's butcher a Russian name, shall we? Andrei Zayagintsev. We'll go with that. And now and again, a film will come along and affect me, and this one did affect me. And it's been quite a few months since I've had a film. I think Dancer in the Dark was the last one. It really got the emotions going in me. This is all about this guy. He's living in the north of Russia, and he's got a little house by the sea with his wife and his kid. He's got his little workshop on there. Does odd jobs for people, fixes people's car, and he's living quite the idyllic life by the sea. That's until this corrupt mayor decides he wants to take the land for himself to build his own house. So he just sets about getting a compulsory purchase order to buy this guy's house and this land. They're just about to take everything from him for a lot less than it's valued at. And this is the fight that this guy is trying to fight, this corrupt mayor, and getting his mate involved, who is a lawyer from Moscow. And that made things worse. That made it go in a whole different journey. I don't want to tell you really what happened, because it's a film you must watch yourself. But this is a film that made me so angry, and the way this guy got treated, I was proper boiling up mad inside for it. It made me forget that it was only a film sometimes. And this mayor, he's played by this little fat guy. Testament to the actor, like, I forgot he was an actor sometimes, and I haven't had a fight in my life, and I couldn't fight sleep. I couldn't knock the top of a rice pudding and fight my way out of a paper bag, as I say. But this little fat Russian mayor, I wanted to smash his face in. He wound me up so much. But yeah, really great film, and I don't want to tell you any more about it. It's not an expensive film Blu-ray to get. I think it cost you $5 to get it. You've got to get it and give it a watch, because It's not often I log a film at 5 out of 5 on Letterboxd, but this was a top of 5 of 5, and now an instant. I'm not going to say favourite of mine. It's not the sort of film that can be a favourite, but the way it's got to me, it's a film I'll never forget. If you like your foreign cinema and you haven't seen this one, grab a copy, because man, it's wonderful. It took me a while to get over it. I was thinking about it all day, and again, since Dancer in the Dark, like, not a film hasn't made me think for so long afterwards. Yeah, really good stuff. And last for the week, oh, just about to drop everything. Last for the week, guys, Constantine. Now, James and I, movie mad, we have very different tastes, and this is a film he loves, and I think he upgraded to 4K, and I'm not sure, he might have sent me this Blu-ray to watch. I can't remember whether he actually sent me this Blu-ray or bought a copy myself off his recommendation. But James loves this film, and Larry loves this film, and Larry's a judge of films, a lot better judge than James. James, you're terrible, man. I'm just kidding. So they both can't be wrong, can they? They bloody can. This film was bloody atrocious. God, this was awful. Muddled plot, terrible CGI, boring as hell. 2 hours, and I couldn't believe it was 2 hours. I felt like I was sat there all day watching this. I just couldn't get into this at all. Absolutely atrocious. Minor saving grace about it. It had Tilda Swinton. I couldn't think of her name then. Tilda Swinton as Gabriel, and Peter Stormare as Lucifer, and them two characters were great. They should have just ditched everything else and done a movie about them two, because that would have been wonderful. Yeah, rubbish. Sorry, James. That's it for the week. Next week I'll be working on Sunday, so might do it later on the day in a Sunday. Might do it Saturday yet. We'll see how it goes. Which one would you prefer? Let me know down below. Like if you've liked what I've done today. Maybe think about subscribing if you want to hear more of this rubbish. And I'll catch you all soon. Ta-ra.